today we will be continuing to be familiar with some other acharyas, and the acharyas whom we are going to meet today virtually, I emphasize virtually, are Ajaya Khanad, Ajaya Charaka, and Ajaya Susruta. These three acharyas we are going to meet today. And Ajaya Khanad was the first person who thought about the atomic theory and had invented the atomic theory, or the theory of Afikna Vastu. Atom is called Afikna Vastu in Sanskrit. And Afikna Vastu means a particle which cannot be further divided. Exactly the same meaning as in English also. Ajaya Khanad was the first person or the first scientist on the surface of this earth who thought about and invented atomic theory. When I was in my high schools and first years of the university, I was taught the atomic theory of Dalton, the atomic theory of Rutherford, etc., these European scientists, and completely forgetting Ajaya Khanad. So today we are going to remember him and keep him in our mind. The second Acharya is Acharya Charaka. Acharya Charaka was known as the father of medicine. The reason we will see later. And the third Acharya is Acharya Susruta, and he was known as the father of surgery. Let us see their details. Here we have a brief account of Ajaya Khanad or Ajaya Khanad, who lived around 600 BC. And he was the founder of atomic theory, and he is believed to have been born in Prapakshetra near Dwarika in Gujarat. He propounded Vaisheshik Darshan, one of the 6 principal philosophies of Hindustan. He was the pioneer expounder of realism, law of causation, and the atomic theory. He classified all objects of creation into 9 elements. They are earth, water, light, wind, ether, time, space, mind, and soul. And this is the sloga in which he had described or listed all these 9 elements. And for your convenience, I have enlarged the same sloga here so that you can read it very clearly. That is, Prithvivyabas Tejo Vayurakasham Kalo Diktvaman Idi Dravyani. Again, he had said that every object of creation is made of atoms, which in turn connect with each other to form molecules or matras. And this statement was made 2,500 years before John Dalton. And Khanad had further said, seen by self, shown to the others, and through the experiments done to know more details, lead the path to the development. So this was another affirmation of Ajaya Khanad. And this affirmation he had stated in this sloga, which also I have enlarged for your convenience and reported here. That is, Drishtanam Drishta Prayojananam Drishthabhave Prayogo Apyudayaya. So that is what we have translated or tried to translate in this affirmation. Ajaya Khanad also had described the dimension and the motion of atoms and their chemical reactions with each other. And now we go to meet the next Acharya, about whom I have already mentioned, that is Acharya Charaka, and he was known as the father of medicine. And here we have a brief account of Acharya Charaka and his famous book Charaka Samhita. This was a famous book written by Acharya Charaka, Charaka Samhita. And in that famous book Charaka Samhita, he has described the medicinal qualities and functions of 100,000 herbs or herbal plants. And in Charaka Samhita, he has also emphasized the influence of diet and its activity on the mind and the body. This part of medicine is only in the development stage in Western countries nowadays. They are conducting many researches and experiments on this particular subject, that is the influence of diet on the activity of mind and body. And this part of science was already discovered and described in detail in Charaka Samhita. Again, he has proved the correlation of the spirituality and physical health contributed generally to diagnostic and curative sciences. See, this part of science also is under experiments and research even nowadays in European countries and Western world of medicine. See, this also was exhaustively studied and described in Charaka Samhita. He has also prescribed the ethical charter for the medical practitioners 2 centuries prior to the oath. And what is this oath? Oath is the so-called famous Hippocrates oath. Hippocrates, who was a Greek Acharya or Greek scientist and philosopher, and he had prepared this Hippocrates oath for medical practitioners. But see, how many years ago, or how many years before this Hippocratical oath, Ajaya Charaka had already thought about it and prepared and prescribed the oath for the medical practitioners. Again, through his genius and intuition, Ajaya Charaka forever remains etched in the annals of history as one of the greatest and noblest Rishi scientists. And now we are going to meet the next Acharya of Hindustan, known as the father of surgery, and his name is Acharya Sushruta. Let us see some details about Acharya Sushruta. Acharya Sushruta was the first person on the surface of this earth to perform cataract surgery and plastic surgery. That was in 2000 BC. And here we have some more details about Acharya Sushruta. He is a genius who has been glowingly recognized in the annals of medical science. Again, born to sage Vishwamitra, Acharya Sushruta details the first ever surgery procedures in Sushruta Samhita. And Sushruta Samhita is exactly like Charaka Samhita, a unique encyclopedia of surgery. He is venerated as the father of plastic surgery and the surgery of anesthesia. Again, when surgery was in its infancy or elementary stage in Europe, Sushruta was performing rhinoplasty, that is restoration of damaged nose and ears and other challenging operations. Do you remember the affirmation of Dr. W. Hunter, the British surgeon, when we were in one of the last episode, because we have already described that, what was the opinion of Dr. W. Hunter, the British surgeon, and he had affirmed that the Indian scientists or medical practitioners were practicing surgery or rhinoplasty, and it is from them Europe had borrowed this type of operations. I hope you remember. Again, in the Sushruta Samhita, he prescribes treatment for 12 types of fractures and 6 types of dislocations, that is bone dislocation. His details on human embryology are simply amazing. Sushruta used 125 types of surgical instruments, including scalpels, lancets, needles, catheters, and rectal speculums, mostly designed from the jaws of animals and birds. He has also described a number of stitching methods after surgery and also the use of horsehair as thread for stitching and also fibers of the bark of trees or plants. In Sushruta Samhita, he details about 300 types of operations, surgical procedures. The ancient Indians were pioneers in amputation, caesareans, and cranial surgeries. Ajaya Sushruta was a giant in the arena of medical science. Sushruta Samhita is now available in translation in different languages of our nation. I hope from these details we have seen now, you have already started having an idea of what exactly was the technical and scientific status and level of Hindustan before the arrival of the invaders. And who were those invaders? Not to offend anybody, they proclaimed, those invaders, they themselves described themselves or defined themselves as the chosen people of Allah and the chosen people of Jehovah. And this is not to offend anybody, but just to give some impulse to start thinking about certain affirmations which was considered sacred in history, but it's not so. To that details we will come in the future episodes. Anyway, I hope you have started getting interested in this exploration. If so, I'll be totally satisfied. And if you are interested, and if you think that these are useful information for each and every citizen of Hindustan, please share this information to your friends and relatives of the new generation. So thank you very much for paying attention to my words. Jai Hind.